The following video demonstrates the Boeing 787 head-up display. This is a simulated flight departing from and arriving at Seattle International Airport. The takeoff will be a HUD-guided takeoff from Seattle runway 16 left. The clearance is to climb to 4,000 feet and to fly heading 165. When flaps are up, clearance will be given to turn to a right downwind, followed by vectors for a straight-in ILS approach to runway 16 left. During the downwind leg, a 40-knot crosswind will be introduced that will cause a drift angle where the flight path vector symbol appearance will change due to the field of view limits of the display. A TCAS event will also be demonstrated in the downwind that will be concluded before turning right-hand base for the runway 16 left ILS approach. On final approach, when reaching the decision altitude, a go-around will be executed, followed by a second ILS runway 16 left. This second ILS approach will be flown in decluttered mode and will terminate in a full-stop auto-land. The airplane will then be repositioned to an 8-mile final for runway 16 left. This will be a flight director off visual approach to a full-stop landing. A second takeoff with the wind shear event will then be presented. At the conclusion of the wind shear event, the flight will be slewed to flight level 300 to demonstrate unusual attitude scenarios. Holding in position on runway 16 left, HUD toga is the active roll mode and VNAV is armed. The plan is to engage heading select at 400 feet AGL. Boeing 88 Heavy, wind calm, runway 16 left, cleared for takeoff. Thrust ref, thrust set. Acceleration is indicated by the flight path acceleration symbol. Ground excessive deviation symbol displayed. Toga reference line displayed starting at 65 knots. 80 knots, hold.
V1.
Rotate. When airborne, compass rose, flight path vector, guidance cue, and secondary slip skid indicator are all displayed. Positive rate, gear up. Autopilot on. Heading select. Thrust ref, VNAV speed. As programmed in the FMC, the aircraft begins to accelerate at 1000 AGL. Flaps 5. Speed air tape displayed at first flap retraction. Flaps 1. Flaps up. Fly speed 220 knots. Turn right heading 345 for downwind. Speed, VNAV path. 1000 to level off. Wind now 070 at 15 knots. The flight path vector symbols, gull wing routes are angled downward 30 degrees to the horizontal. In a 30-degree bank angle, the upward wing's wing root is parallel with the HUD horizon and pitch scale lines. Current heading pointers. Level flight is maintained when the flight path vector overlays the HUD horizon line. Selected heading bugs. The crosswind component is now 40 knots. With the increased drift angle, the flight path vector symbol appearance is limited by the speed tape. In such a situation, the flight path vector symbol has a dashed outline and cannot indicate the airplane's current drift angle. Crosswind now reduced to 15 knots. For a TCAS event, a corrective advisory is displayed by a double-lined box called the Fly To box. The Fly To box is an indication of where the flight path vector symbol should be positioned in order to obtain vertical separation from traffic directing an evasive maneuver.
Traffic, traffic. Climb, climb.
Disconnecting autopilot and auto throttles, we fly to the box. Level off, level off.
Clear of conflict.
Autopilot on, selecting flight level change. Thrust, flight level change. Speed alt. Glide slope reference line displays when approach VREF speed selected. Flight will be turning right base shortly. Vero minimums 633 selected. Using flight level change, descend and maintain 2000. Altitude set 2000. Flight level change selected. Thrust, flight level change speed. Hold. Flaps 1, flaps 1 speed. Speed error tape displays difference between the indicated airspeed and the selected or FMS commanded airspeed. Turn right heading 080 base leg to final, 1000 to level off. Flight path acceleration symbol indicates inertial acceleration or deceleration. When symbol is above the wing of the flight path vector symbol, the airplane is accelerating. When it is below the flight path vector symbol wing, the airplane is decelerating. Flaps 5, flaps 5 speed. The approach reference indicate that the ILS is tuned and identified, India, Sierra, November, Quebec. Turn right heading 135. On this heading, you are cleared for a straight-in ILS approach, runway 16 left. Maintain 2000 until established. Speed alt, localizer and glide slope deviation pointers are shown. Approach armed. Loc capture. Wind 070 at 15, runway 16 left cleared to land. Glide slope alive, gear down, flaps 20 speed, speed brake armed. Glide slope capture, flaps 30, speed VREF plus 5, missed approach altitude 2000 set. Final fix, Douglas, height check. Landing checklist complete. (1000) as indicated by the landing altitude reference bar. (500) land 3. Rollout and flare armed.
Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Go around flaps 20. Thrust, LNAV toga. Positive rate, gear up. Heading select. Flaps up speed 220 knots set. Flaps 5. Flaps 1. Flaps up. Turn right heading 345 for downwind. Flight level change, climb thrust, after takeoff checklist. Speed alt. Barrel minimums 633 selected. Flaps 1, flaps 1 speed. Turn right heading 080 base leg to final. Flaps 5, flaps 5 speed. The approach reference indicate that the ILS is tuned and identified India, Sierra, November, Quebec. Turn right heading 135. On this heading you are cleared for a straight-in ILS approach, runway 16 left. Maintain 2000 until established. Localizer and glide slope deviation pointers are shown. Approach armed. Loc capture. Wind 070 at 15. Runway 16 left cleared to land. Glide slope alive. Decluttered mode will be selected at glide slope capture. Gear down, flaps 20 speed, speed brake armed. Glide slope capture, flaps 30, speed VREF plus 5, set missed approach altitude 2000. Final fix, Douglas, height check. Selected speed, current airspeed, selected altitude, current altitude, vertical speed. Landing checklist complete. $1,000. $500, land 3. Roll out and flare armed.
Approaching minimums.
In decluttered mode, runway edge lines displays at a radio altitude of 300
Minimums.
feet and is removed at 60 feet. Glide slope reference line removed at 70 feet radio altitude, and at 50 feet radio
50,
altitude, the guidance
40,
cue is removed.
20,
Flare,
10,
idle, rollout. Ground deceleration scale displayed on landing indicate actual deceleration rate being achieved as provided by the corresponding auto brake setting. Speed brakes up, reversers normal, .60 knots. This will be a straight-in visual approach with flight directors off. Flight is in position freeze and an 8-mile final for runway 16 left in Seattle, maintaining 2,000 feet, flaps 5 and flap 5 speed. The plan is to maintain 2,000 until starting final descent. While the ILS is tuned and armed, think of this as a visual approach. Maintaining 2,000 feet, the 3-degree glide slope reference line will travel over the ground in front of the airplane. When it overlays the runway touchdown zone, a precise descent angle to the runway is maintained by overlaying the glide slope reference line on the runway touchdown zone. Then maintain the flight path vector symbol on the glide slope reference line until the flare maneuver starts. The flight path vector is not to be used for any part of the flare maneuver. The airplane has resumed flight. Boeing 88 Heavy, wind 070 at 15, runway 16 left cleared to land. Gear down, flaps 20 speed, speed brakes armed. Flaps 30, speed VREF plus 5. Landing checklist complete. $1,000, $500, glide slope reference line removed at 70 feet RA.
50, 40, 20, 10.
Speed brakes up, reversers normal, $60. This will be a takeoff from runway 16 left. After liftoff, wind shear will be encountered at 200 feet AGL. After the wind shear event, the flight will be slewed to flight level 300 to demonstrate unusual attitude scenarios. The clearance is to fly heading 165 and to climb to flight level 300. VNAV is armed, and the plan is to engage heading select at 400 feet AGL. Boeing 88 Heavy, wind 070 at 15, gust to 25. Runway 16 left cleared for takeoff. Thrust ref, thrust set. $80 knots hold.
V1,
Rotate. Positive rate gear up. Autopilot on.
Wind shear. Wind shear.
Guidance cue has now changed from hollow to solid. Filled. Heading select. Flight is now at flight level 300, where after disconnecting the autopilot and autothrottles, the pitch angle is increased to 90 degrees nose up, followed by decreasing the pitch angle to 90 degrees nose down before returning to level flight. Because of excessive pitch up angle, the pitch scale compression symbology is now displayed. The tip of the upper pitch scale chevron is at plus 30 degrees, directing the pilot to apply pitch down. The unusual attitude symbology is now displayed. The 90-degree nose-up or zenith symbol is now displayed. Because of excessive pitch down angle, the pitch scale compression symbology is now displayed again. The 90-degree nose down or nadir symbol is now displayed. Flight is now back to level flight.